Hey, Bartholomew, Ravens at Bengals. Who you got?
Contractually obligated. You know I got them Baltimore Ravens. You talk about B.J. Hill and Sheldon Rankins being out. That bodes well for King Henry to keep ruling the land.
I mean, look, and we can put the picks up on the screen here. We'll have a little time to dive into these games. I think the Ravens are a better team. They've certainly looked that way, but RC, desperation sometimes does crazy things. The Bengals desperately need to win this, don't they?
Yeah, desperation ain't never played a block and made a tackle, though. And when you look, it's just a bad matchup. With Cincinnati Bengals, since week one, their offense has been one of the best offenses in the entire NFL. But their defense hasn't stopped the run since the offseason. They came into this season with Ramondre Stevenson having a big game for the New England Patriots, and that's continued. I mean, Chuba Hubbard looked like Walter Payton last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. And you mean to tell me going to Baltimore or playing against Baltimore with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, you're suddenly going to fix those woes? No way.
But I think it's a high-scoring game, and for all the woes that we've talked about with Cincinnati, if they win this game, they're tied with the Ravens. And Joe Burrow, to me, the last couple of weeks has looked phenomenal. So yeah. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think Cincinnati will continue to, stop people like Derrick Henry here, but Baltimore's secondary is still a work in progress. Yeah. They're very young, and I think Cincinnati's going to be able to score.
You say continue to stop people like Derrick Henry. Yeah. You got to stop somebody to continue anything.
Yeah, I think that's not. I don't think that was the word you were looking for. I understand what you meant by it. Why do you like Cincinnati in this game?
They are the more desperate team. I do think that it is a high-scoring game, and in the end, I would trust Burrow and Chase and Higgins to deliver. These division games, yes, Baltimore looks better than Cincinnati, but Cincinnati plays them twice a year. They know how.
All right, but Lamar Jackson 4-1 against Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Like the games that Joe Burrow's beating the Ravens, Lamar hasn't
been there. Yeah.
Let's see what kind of lead the Ravens have in the fourth quarter if they do, and if they're able to hold on to it, as they sometimes struggle to do. Mike T, Jets Vikings in London. Who you got?
I got the Vikings, and I don't think Nathaniel Hackett saw my advice. So I saw this team up close a couple weeks ago calling their game. I think this defense is as good as what we saw last week with Denver's defense. Sam Darnold, I know it's a revenge game, but the story to me is on the other side. Brian Flores is doing an unbelievable job. They're leading the league in sacks, pressure rate, and I just saw last week Aaron Rodgers just looked old and slow to me.
Oh, it was raining.
RC, talk to me about Sam Darnold. We talked about the Jets, and we're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers a little later on Devontae Adams. But what are we? This Sam Darnold thing, is this for real?
I think it's a real thing in that place. When you look at the way that Kevin O'Connell has been managing Sam Darnold and the confidence he's instilled in him, last week when the Green Bay Packers made this game close, the way they pushed themselves over the top was 2 passes to Justin Jefferson. The sort of separation he creates, but also the confidence in Sam Darnold to throw in that moment meant the most to me, because that's saying that Kevin O'Connell also believes in his quarterback.
I'm not surprised that Bart is picking the Jets. I am surprised that Graziano is picking the Jets.
Yeah, I feel like the Vikings have to come down at some point, right? Now, I agree with everything you say about Darnold and Kevin O'Connell, and I think one of the great things O'Connell did was he gets Darnold in, and he doesn't look at him as a bridge to J.J. McCarthy. He looks at him as a developmental prospect that I need to work on, and he did, and the product that we're seeing now is a result of that work. So I think it's great, tip of the cap, but I mean, Jets bouncing back off a tough loss, Vikings 4-0, probably need to come back down to earth. I took the Jets.
Here's why I believe TB's logic is flawed, because last week the Jets went against a team that blitzed second most in the NFL. So now when you go through practice, you got the film, you've seen it. And so now when you get these blitzes, you have to have these conversations. You have a plan going forward, and Aaron Rodgers will be better prepared to get the ball out.
Let me sneak one more game in here if I can. Browns at Commanders, Washington, the story of the early season. RC, who you got?
I got the Commanders. I believe in Jaden Daniels. And what I love about what Cliff Kingsbury has done is he's also learned from his experience in Arizona. Week 1, it looked much like that air raid, right? Get the football out of his hands. But as this has evolved and Jaden Daniels has continued to ascend, there's multiplicity in the personnels that they use. They still have up-tempo, but in up-tempo, they give you different formations. They run the football, they're physical up front, and they protect Jaden Daniels. They give him opportunities to make big throws, and he makes great decisions with the football.
Bart, why are you raising your hand?
Oh, because I have something to say.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what, because the thing about Jaden Daniels, he's been amazing, right? I picked him for Rookie of the Year, but the reason that I picked the Cleveland Browns is because he snuck up on a lot of teams, right? Because you can't simulate what he does.
Yeah.
But the Cleveland Browns can, because they see Action Jackson, the originator of this style and this brand. So they're going to have a plan for those quarterback runs. They're going to have plans for those throws down the field because they see Lamar Jackson twice a year.
You guys
You
go
look
first.
skeptical. No. Why do you disagree?
Lamar can't throw like that now.
Okay.
Like I'm just going to be honest. I'm just going to be honest.
Lamar, 82% completion is not Lamar.
Yeah, the two throws that we saw from Jaden Daniels on Monday night against the Cincinnati Bengals, there are other people who can throw it as good. There's no one that can throw it better. The way that he's worked in between the numbers against the Arizona Cardinals this week, that is a level of anticipation and pocket presence that, as much as I love Lamar and believe he's a better player, that we hadn't seen.
Quick takes, go.
Greeny, if we strip away reputation, contracts, the best quarterback in the NFC right now is Jaden Daniels.
Damian Woody said the same thing.
And the best one in the AFC is not Deshaun Watson. The Browns are a mess. They can't keep their tackles healthy. Myles Garrett has so many injuries. He's like the Black Knight from Monty Python, like pieces of him falling off. The Browns are a mess. They're in trouble.
It's usually around week 4 or week 5 where somebody new comes in and takes the league by storm, and now it's film and data out there, and defensive coordinators and good defenses start to get a plan. Right? Remember, we were 3-0 with Mark Sanchez, not putting Mark Sanchez in that same frame, but with Joe Flacco, then people realized he couldn't throw left. They're going to find a deficiency. Everybody has a hole in their game.
I do believe that they'll find things out about him, but sometimes there's a guy that's good enough to continue consistent good
But their team was last year.